Hello and welcome back to a new episode of Grand Tactician The Civil War, where we are playing the Union career mode. Last episode we got utterly defeated in the Battle of Stafford, and the Union is in a lot of trouble. At the moment, some parts of our army are still trapped at Stafford, while the city of Alexandria is still under the siege of the rebels. But the troubles do not end here. The 2nd and the 3rd Division have retreated further to the south and are now cut off from our lines, while our own division has retreated even further and is currently southeast of Fredericksburg. This is the furthest south any Union soldier was in this war, but we are under massive threat. Our division only had 3,400 soldiers left in them, and our brigade that fought so bravely in the last battle took a lot of casualties. The 1st New Jersey State Militia is down to 470 soldiers, the 2nd has only 260 left in them, and the 3rd only has 239 soldiers left. The 4th New Jersey is our strongest unit with over 503 soldiers. And let's find out if we can give them some upgrades. We were able to give the 4th New Jersey the Springfield Rifled Musket, but unfortunately no weapons are available for the 3rd New Jersey Regiment. This is the last of our regiments that still has the Springfield Musket. But the bad news do not end here either. In the last fight we were wounded and broke a couple of our ribs. And as you can see, the Confederate army doesn't let us retreat unopposed. 1st Division is on the move and is trying to follow us. They have over 4,400 soldiers, while we only have 3,400 left, meaning that they outnumber us significantly, and if they get further reinforcements, our division might be wiped off the earth. But there are also some good news. We have a good amount of ammunition and we still have some provisions, meaning that our soldiers won't starve. Now, let us begin and find out if we can get the hell out of this house. We can now see our army dwindling, and we are retreating further south. And instead of going around the enemy, we are now trying to march north through Fredericksburg itself, meaning that we are going to face 3 separate armies. 4 are coming up. We are going to be trapped, encircled, and if we are... Well, I was not expecting that. We have just passed by multiple Confederate armies and we were able to get out of this dangerous situation. We have now linked up with the 2nd and the 3rd Division and with the 1st Division, and we might be able to retreat further. But the Confederates are still on pursuit. We can see that there is a battle going on, or there are simply more units routing in the 3rd Division. And there are rumors that we are now marching to Maryland. We got on a boat, and we are trying to get out of there. Safe at last. But for now our army has to regain its strength before we can maneuver on. The condition of our horses is atrocious, we are suffering from low ammunition, the weather is bad and our soldiers are unhappy. And we have received news that there was a disaster at Alexandria. The Department of Pennsylvania is fleeing in a panic, and the support for the federal cause wavers further, and we simply cannot get a break in this conflict. But at least we got a promotion out of it. We have now been promoted to Brigadier General, and we can now apply for the command of a brigade, a division or an entire corps. And after taking a long look at our units, I think it might be a wise choice to take command of our 4th Division. It only takes about 670 prestige, and the majority of our units have the Springfield Rifle Musket. We also have 2 batteries of 40-pounder James rifles, and we have a 24-pounder howitzer battery setting up, and we also have a cavalry regiment that is also able to join our fight. Let's find out if we can also add another regiment to our 2nd Brigade. And we can get a good amount of soldiers from Kentucky. They have over 2,700 volunteers, but the support for the cause is rather low. Still, I believe it would be a wise decision to recruit from there, meaning that we have a large manpower base to recruit from. This unit is aimed to have 1,000 soldiers under their command, and they're going to be armed with the Springfield Musket. With that we should have a sizable force present on the battlefield, And hopefully once spring comes around we are going to get a couple volunteers for our depleted regiments. And there we have it, we are in command of our divisions. Our unit is now present on the campaign map and we can move it freely. We can also manage all the units attached to it, including creation of a new HQ and recruitment of units. We will personally command the unit in battles, and like earlier we must use prestige to influence commanders of other units to follow our advice. Our 4th division has about 4,300 soldiers in total and we have 12 artillery pieces. The Department of Pennsylvania is coming up and it looks like Washington might be under threat of capture. Soon our soldiers will be able to rejoin the fight and we're going to drive the Yankees back. And right now we have received the news that the conscription is introduced to the Confederacy. All contracts extended for 3 years and the number of volunteers is increasing. All men between 18 and 35 years old have been deemed liable to serve. This also results in high desertion rates in the Confederate Army. The readiness of our soldiers is still low, but we are getting further supplies from Akia Harbor. And we have now received news that there was another disaster at Fairfax. The Army of the Potomac is fleeing and the support for the federal cause wavers further. And to celebrate our promotion, I think it might be a wise choice to get a new coat. My eyes fell on this quality jacket, it costs about $200 and it is slowly going to increase our prestige. We can see that the Confederate Army is now at the doorstep of Washington and we can see that the 2nd Division and the Department of the Pennsylvania have retreated further. Down here the 1st Division is still fighting on, but it is only going to be a matter of time until they also have to withdraw. Our 4th Division is still unable to actually do much, but I want them to move further to the north. Maybe we can get some more support from this port and get some more provisions in on that way. It is going to take 22 days for our new regiment to arrive and 6 days for our artillery. The men are moving up, we are getting some more provisions and we are going to march further to the north, around the area of Piscataway Way. We are going to try to reinforce Washington and of course the supply hub over there is going to help us significantly. It has all the things that we need, it has a lot of artillery ammunition and it also has ammunition for small arms and some weapons that we are definitely going to need. Over there we can also replenish our losses. And it looks like a hospital is going to be constructed down here. This is going to help our wounded soldiers. We have over 860 soldiers wounded. And it is about time that we get to a safe location where we can rest up our men. And we have been informed that we now got a legendary sidekick. This showman traveling with your headquarters has met a journalist and writer who has published war stories, largely invented by the writer himself, based on his adventures in the Grand Herald. These stories have an officer sidekick in them performing heroic deeds alongside the showman. It didn't take the citizens long to connect the dots and figure out it's you he is writing about. While new stories are being written, your prestige and fame are rapidly increasing if you perform anything worth mentioning during the coming month. And we also now have to take a look on our staff again. We're going to get Major Charles Devons Jr. as our quartermaster. Major Preston Davidson is going to be our subsistence, and our ordnance is going to be Major Henry Russell. This is going to help our corps significantly. And let's hope that our soldiers are up to strength too. We receive news that Alexandria is now under threat of being taken. But we cannot do a lot right now. And we have now been ordered to march northwest, but I do not know where. And we have also the option to pick a perk. Currently I am undecided between the ambulance corps that is going to make sure that more of our soldiers can recover, the flying column that allows us to move faster and to get more supplies, and the engineer corps that allows us to build quicker. But when I take a look on our casualty list, I think the ambulance corps is going to be worth more for us. We could in theory decide to march further north on Washington, and we hear that over here another fight has started with the 1st Division of the Army of Northern Virginia. We still hold this fort in the southern supply line, and our men are completely exhausted. I'm going to order them forward to Washington itself. Someone has to protect this city. Over there we will also receive more reinforcements from this depot, and we will get the option to heal our soldiers. This means that our soldiers can recover quicker. And maybe if we get more reinforcements, we might be able to drive the enemy back south. Over here we can see that the 3rd Division is holding up in the enemy rear. And the enemy supply lines have to go through Manassas. If some Union armies would be able to take Manassas, we would be able to encircle this entire section of the front line. And we have received news from the Western Theater. There was a battle fought at Mill Springs and the Union was victorious. The Confederate offensive has stopped and the Confederate general was reported to be drunk. Our new artillery battery has arrived, and the 1st Kentucky Regiment takes about 12 days until it is going to be under our command. Our soldiers have arrived on their destination, and our soldiers are ordered into a defensive stance. I wonder why we can't build anything. It would be amazing if we could build up a better fort. But this is something that we have to accept at the moment. Over here a battle with the 1st Division is still going on, even though it is reported that this division has no soldiers left in it. I wonder what all that is about. We can see that the rest of our army is still holding up in the south and is threatening Fredericksburg. But we can also see that 4th Division is over here. And with these forces, the 3rd Division is an easy target. I would love to attack the Army of Virginia, but I doubt that we can do this. The Army of the Shenandoah and Lee's Division will without a doubt follow them. And our soldiers are still in absolute terrible readiness, and it is going to take a long time until our soldiers are able to fight again. And in international news, we have been informed about the Hartley Colliery disaster, a massive coal mining accident in England. The pumping engine beam has fractured and the trapped man has been reported as dead. 2 shafts are required to get the dead up. And currently it looks like the threat of a British intervention is at 2%. And we can see that Lee's division is marching south. And the Army of the Shenandoah is also leaving. If our readiness would be higher, we could attack the Army of Virginia. They only have 2,800 soldiers. We outnumber them 2-1. But our soldiers are absolutely not in the condition to do so. We can see that more Confederate forces are gathering around Fredericksburg, and that they are attacking the 3rd Division. Over here the battle is still going on, and the Army of Northern Virginia and other units have built up over here. The majority of our own army is ready again, but they are not moving. Our own force is still not in the condition to move. And luckily our broken ribs have healed and we have not been left with a lasting disability. A long time ago we have also started to buy up some supplies, and it is still going to take about 18 days until they arrive. And I hope that those supplies arrive sooner than later so that we can motivate our men. Our 3rd Division has been overwhelmed at the Rappahannock River and they are now withdrawing. Another loss for our cause. And to raise the morale, the Battle Hymn of the Republic was written, and soon it is going to rise our spirits. But as the situation is right now, I doubt that our spirits going to be rising shortly. Our armies are still standing down, and it would simply be amazing if some of our units would move. We are unable to do so. even though right now would be the perfect opportunity to strike. Once our readiness goes a little bit further, we might be able to move forward and attack without the army of the Shenandoah coming in to support. They have over 11,000 soldiers, and if you can only take on the unit in Alexandria, this would be great news for us. And to increase the amount of soldiers in the field, the Confederacy has started to offer bounties. But a high desertion rate is reported among the bounty men, and the morale of the soldiers is questionable. Let's hope that this is going to bleed the Confederacy dry. And the Union has started to invest further into heavy industry. The Second Industrialization Act has been passed, and this is going to give a lot more support for our factories. The heavy industry in the north is soaring, and hopefully this is going to put out a lot of artillery for our men. Over here further battles are going on. This fort is now under siege. They only have 50 men in it, meaning that Forrest's 1200 soldiers should have an easy time taking the fort. The 3rd Division is further bleeding out, apparently unable to get out of there. And our latest action has finally been completed. We got some better supplies for our soldiers. And right now, as I wanted to slow down time to assess the situation, the Confederacy has decided to launch an attack on Washington. The Army of Virginia is in contact with the 4th Division of the Army of Northern Virginia. They have 2,840 soldiers, and they dare to attack over 4,800 men with 12 artillery pieces. Gentlemen, it is the 16th February of 1862. Our scouts report that the enemy is near Washington, D.C., and our army is preparing for battle. We are facing the Army of Virginia under command of William J. Hardee, with ranks of some 3,000 soldiers and about 4 artillery pieces. The enemy army is green, and the morale is reported to be determined. Reports indicate their supply situation is outstanding. The supply state of our own army is outstanding as well. Signed, General Wilhelm Schneider, and this is going to be the first battle that is completely under our command. It is most likely that their soldiers are going to march around this road, but it is also possible that some of the soldiers are going to go down this main road and try to attack us from here. The battle can begin, and I'm excited to show you the situation. We do not exactly know where the enemy comes from, but we have some engineering points to spare, and I use that to dig trenches. Our militia brigade is holding up our northern section. They have entrenched this section. They're getting support by a battery of 24-pounder howitzers that is going to shred anything that comes over this area. Unfortunately, due to the foliage and this building, we cannot shoot out further. Over here, the 1st New Jersey State Militia and the 2nd New Jersey State Militia control this road with the support of a 40-pounder James rifle. And over here, the 1st Kentucky is holding this section with the support of another 40-pounder James. Over here, the 3rd New Jersey Infantry, the 2nd New Jersey Infantry, and the 31st New York Infantry are holding our side. Unfortunately, none of these regiments like me very much. I've commandeered them in the last battle, and I guess they still haven't forgiven me for saving their lives. And now we're going to find out if the enemy goes down the Blackendon's Mill Road or the Melkhouse Ford Road. Depending on this situation, we can decide how to engage our soldiers. They might also, of course, go down the 7th Street Turnpike. What is it going to be? The enemy has decided for the 7th Street Turnpike. This is actually quite good news, as the majority of our artillery is situated over there. Let's quickly rearrange our soldiers to make sure that this is going to be a very bad day for the Confederacy. Our artillery needs to set up over here. I want the 1st New Jersey out over here, and I want the 2nd and the 1st out over here and over here. The 3rd New Jersey can take positions over on this section. But Commander, do not use roads, otherwise you will not make it in time. And it looks like they're now going up this hill. Okay, it appears that my previous orders were absolutely unnecessary. I want them to stay in position. These artillery pieces also need to get back. Yes, the enemy has decided in unison to come up over here, meaning that they're going to get directly into our range. This battery is set to counter battery fire. Once they're back, I'm going to set them to fire at will. These 24-pounder howitzers need to get out of position. They have an option to deliver flanking fire on the enemy. First New Jersey, you need to get back. And the second also needs to get back. I was a little bit too eager in my commands. Let's make sure that the enemy is going to exhaust themselves in front of our defenses. 24-pounders move down there so that our soldiers can give you cover fire. And I also want skirmishers out. These skirmishers are going to take up position over here. And we can see the enemy column marching up this hill. Can we get those 14-pounders around to deliver some fire on the enemy? We have the 2nd New Jersey here. I'm going to order them down to make sure that our guns are protected. It says that they have a grudge against me and that they are unwilling to follow command. Let's hope that they will still fulfill their duty. Otherwise, we have a problem. Let's make sure that our officers face the side of the enemy. Come on, move up. And we can see that this detachment of skirmishers have reached their position. The artillery is coming along. The artillery is not limbered up, meaning that they're moving extremely slowly. This was definitely a mistake on my part. But it looks like the enemy is still far away. These 14-pounders might be able to open up on the enemy very soon. And over here, these 24-pounder howitzers have set up, making sure that we can get the enemy into a nice crossfire. And the bombardment begins. Very good. Over here, our 3rd militia is able to fire. This is very good for us. And the first South Carolina battery is trying to get up here. We do not know what weapons they have, but it appears that they are preparing to fire. Counter battery fire is therefore not an option. They are far out of range, but I'm sure that we can get them as soon as our artillery and our infantry has dealt with the Confederate forces. We are now looking at a minor victory. And it is about time that we start to enjoy this battle. It is now 12 o'clock and the enemy is unwilling to move forward at the moment. And we can see that the first units of the enemy are taking casualties. There are only very few, but we are getting there. And as it looks like we are able to shell the 19th Georgia, the 10th South Carolina and the 1st Florida, meaning that the enemy artillery should also be in range. I therefore want our batteries to focus on counter battery fire. And with this we might be able to silence the South Carolina battery before they can do any real harm to us. Some of their soldiers are already wounded. And it is now time that the enemy makes a move. We have taken a lot of time to prepare this defensive battle, and I want them to attack us in this way. If they don't, we would have to move around them, and this can be quite costly. At the moment, no one was able to fire, so I ordered our artillery pieces to fire at will again. And we can see that the enemy is taking some casualties. They are unwilling to engage us, and they're still sitting idle. So far, none of our soldiers have been killed, and I'm willing to send over Miller's detachment to, if possible, harass the enemy and to entice them to do something foolish. Enemy artillery is setting up, and our soldiers are now trying to attack the 10th South Carolina. It is not the point that they actually do a whole lot of damage. The whole point is to force the enemy to move. But currently the enemy is simply standing there and taking it. Well, in this case I'm going to do nothing as the enemy has just withdrawn. While this was kind of disappointing, the enemy has only suffered 43 casualties and they have withdrawn without even testing our defenses. And you can read it in the newspaper first. Our massive victory at Washington sends the army of the Virginia on a retreat, and for our brave and heroic actions of sitting behind breastworks and shelling the enemy for a couple hours, we have become a national hero. The support for the rebel cause wavers, and at least we showed them that Washington isn't completely undefended. And of course we have written a little letter to our president. The Battle of Washington has ended with the army of Virginia retreating from the battle in good order. My command has earned us total victory with the enemy army running for their lives. The enemy has reportedly suffered total casualties of 43 men, thereof 11 killed and 10 captured. Their morale is believed to be confident, and we haven't taken a single casualty. Morale is eager with supply situation critical. We have captured 24 rifles and 0 guns from the battlefield, and 10 enemy soldiers have been captured and taken to POW camps. Our supply state is actually quite good. I do not know why we have reported it to be so bad. But let's find out where the army of Virginia is going to withdraw to. And we have received report that the Battle of Akia Landing has ended. This battle has been another disaster for our forces, as Martin has surrendered the fort, and this means that everything that we achieved in the last battle has been for nothing, and we have now received news of another disaster at the Potomac River. The 1st Division is fleeing in the panic, and the Confederates are still marching on. Over here, for some reason, the enemy is still in the Washington area and not withdrawing. Our casualties are getting up there. I do not know why we are not fighting them. We should be able to do so. We are getting some more casualties. And as we can see over here, everything is back under Confederate hands. Now to further news from the Western Theater. There was a battle fought at Fort Donelson and the Union is victorious. The Confederate defensive line has been breached. We could only wish that the fight in the north is looking as good for us as in the west. Our armies are still standing here, we are suffering casualties. And the 2nd Division is coming in together with the 3rd Division. I do not know why the army of Virginia is still on the field and why we cannot contest them. and why these forces are not coming up to support us in our fight. But we will have to look at this situation another time. And if we take a look on the front lines, we can see that the Confederacy still holds some ground around Alexandria. But officially this area has been cut off and this supply station has been recaptured by the Union. Multiple Confederate armies are still fighting over here, and the 1st Division and the headquarters of the Army Potomac are still under siege, unable to withdraw. The majority of our forces are holding up over here, and some forces are holding up over in this section. Further to the northwest, we can see that the Army of Occupation under Major General George B. McClellan is still sitting idle, as we could expect from him. But for now, this has to be it for this episode, and maybe next time we are going to get the option to lead our division into an actual battle and to win actual glory for our cause. Until we meet again, I wish you all a great time.